Kaz, welcome to the show, man. How are things? How's your summer? Been seeing you outside a lot. What's new, man?
It's been good, man. I can't complain. Just trying to enjoy the city and family, and been a lot of fun activities over the summertime, man. We ran into each other at
Ping pong?
ping
All of the
pong. Yes, yes,
sexes.
Battle of the Sexes. Shout out to my guys. I put that thing on. It was so much fun. But yeah, man, it's been a really good summer, bro.
And then Nick's Twitter, man, it got physical. I'm not going to lie. It got physical at Nick's Twitter.
Yeah, Knicks Twitter Day on Saturday. Man, shout out to Dean Banton. Of course, Sean Geddes.
Yeah.
Those guys
Shouts to
put
Knicks
on
Fan TV for winning, right? Shouts to Knicks
Knicks
Fan
Fan
TV.
TV
Yeah.
won. Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely had a few fans that we definitely got to check their cards for once or
Ooh.
twice. Nah, not that they weren't Knicks fans, but there were some unfamiliar faces, but I remember to check. They were hooping. It was a good Saturday though, man. Great people came out. Incredible community. It was really a good time, man. I had so much fun on the microphone on that joint.
Most definitely. You've worked in so many different aspects of media, music, hip hop, wrestling, obviously basketball. Do you see any parallels when it comes to sports entertainment and the NBA, working in wrestling and working in the NBA?
Well, yeah, plenty, man. Obviously, I like to keep my foot in a lot of places as far as media is concerned. I feel like, especially now in 2025, you can't necessarily be a specialist. You got to be able to at least dip into many other things if you want to make a career out of this. So I'll say I take a lot, man. The year and change that I spent working at the WWE, I always said was some of the most consequential learning I've ever done as far as like being in the media and entertainment business. Just because I always thought I had an idea of what it took to put that type of show on, and being there every week, just learning on the fly, and just taking in so much, taking in so much information on just how something to that scale is effective and puts on a show every single week. It was definitely a big learning experience. So being a wrestling fan and being able to, I guess, tap into other forms of music and sports and all that, it's all pretty much the same. Everybody's telling a story. Everybody is there's usually a bad guy and a good guy in a story. There's
Yeah.
usually ways to settle that, and there's usually ways to promote that. And I learned so much just about how entertainment and the ability to get people to buy into something. I see so many parallels just in other avenues of entertainment, especially in the NBA. So yeah, there's plenty of them there for sure.
Well, the NBA has felt very wrestling lately. We see the Luka Doncic trade. We see all these crazy coaching firings. After the Luka Doncic trade, Cooper goes to Dallas. I mean, is it even seem more like wrestling now than ever before?
I would definitely say it's some good booking from the bookers over there. A good wrestling match makes sure that there's no losers in the situation, right? Like you could lose the match, but still come out looking good. And I think that's the Dallas Mavericks in this point in time, right? Like the moment you trade a guy like Luka Doncic, who was all well on their way to being the next sort of franchise face after
It
Dirk
still sounds
Nowitzki.
crazy to me, bro. It still sounds crazy to me to this
It
day.
does. It does. Like once you trade that away, a guy like Nico Harrison opened himself for so much criticism and eyeballs. And why do you do that? Well, sometimes you get lucky like this. Hopefully, you get capable talent to sort of get back and as far as trading away a guy like Luka Doncic. But more importantly than that, you're saying to yourself that you want to plan for the future and create for the future. And, you would hope that would happen in the next year or two. You certainly don't think it happens several months later and drafting a guy like Cooper Flagg to join your team. So, yeah, it definitely felt a little pro wrestling to me, this entire Lakers Mavericks team. But both of them, both franchises probably made off with exactly what they wanted. The Lakers got their face of the franchise after LeBron is done playing, and the Mavericks got to retool and get lucky enough and get that number one pick. So no
Yeah.
losers in that one.
We have to talk Knicks. You're a lifelong Knicks fan. How are you feeling about the Mike Brown hiring? To me, I don't know if he's better or worse than Tibbs, but he's definitely different, and he brings more of a modern approach on the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when people are wondering if he's going to be better than Tibbs or worse than Tibbs or whatever, I don't think he has to be. I think when you sort of read the tea leaves of everything that's happened around the Knicks organization, and obviously if you've been seeing how these Knicks move in the World Wide West Leon Rose era of Knicks basketball, nothing gets out. Everything stays in the house. So no matter what we saw on the outside looking in, as far as like Tom Thibodeau and the production that he brought to this Knicks organization, there were obviously things that he, did, or obviously ways that he ran the team that people within the know knew that it was time to move on. And Mike Brown is somebody who is extremely accomplished in this league. He's won a ton of basketball games, but more importantly than that, he looked like he's made a willing effort to extend the rotation in this Knicks team. And I think that was the biggest key here. Everybody who was anybody was begging for Tibbs to play more players. Not that, the players at the end of the bench were, world beaters, but just look at the NBA and look who ended on top at the end of the season. It was not just a team with great top-end talent, but a team that could go 9, 10, sometimes 11 deep on certain games. And as great as that starting five was for the New York Knicks, they know after maybe man number 7, it got pretty skimpy after that. So I think that's the biggest thing we see from Mike Brown, and anybody with eyes knows that, like, to win in the NBA it's not even a big 3 league anymore. At one point it was a superstar league, then it was a big 3 league, then it was like, all right, you got to have a loaded starting five, but now it's like your 8th and 9th man's got to give you like 12 points. You know what I mean? Like, they've got to be able to be that solid off the bench for you, So, and especially if a championship is your main goal, So I like the Mike Brown hiring, and it's not like we have much of a choice, so we got to roll with him and see what he's capable of. No Knick coach has ever walked into the job with this much of high expectations. Not in my life anyway. So it's basically win the East or it's a failure.
I think. I mean, it feels like win a championship or it's a failure at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's expectations in New York right now, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think in the real world, I think you could see a place where, okay, if they don't win, right? If they win the East, which, everybody has said, like, hey, with no Tatum, no Halliburton, no Dame, the Bucks are doing whatever. Like, the Knicks are still pretty much intact. They should win the East. But that team over in the Western Conference that just won it all look pretty damn good and don't look like they're going to anywhere anytime soon. So I could see a world where you can get to the NBA Finals and lose and still be seen as a successful season. But obviously, you don't get over there just to say you're happy you made it over there. You want to win it all. So it is what we like to call champagne problems as Knicks fans. You have expectations like it's championship or bust. So I'd rather have that than what it used to be like, which is watching ping pong balls.
How would you grade the offseason? I mean, I think the Jordan Clarkson acquiring is going to be great. He's going to be a fan favorite. I mean, he's been a bucket forever. And on top of that, this is his first real winning situation.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan Clarkson and Josh Hart obviously came into the NBA together, both as Lakers. So you like that symmetry. I think more important than that, watching the playoffs, it was so apparent that they needed some real bench continuity. And I love Deuce, and I think, Mitch coming off the bench for a while was really good. But I think this team was always constructed in mind with Josh Hart being the super sub, being like that 6th or 7th man on the bench. So I say all that to say, adding a guy like Jordan Clarkson, who's a just add water bucket in the NBA, is exactly what the Knicks need. I like Yabusele a lot. He gave Team USA a lot of problems in the Olympics. He even gave the Knicks some problems as a member of the 76ers as a fringe stretch 5. But more importantly than that, I really like Yabusele's contract. He took just enough money to give the Knicks flexibility to not just sign 1 veteran contract, but 2. And looking at the rosters around the NBA and free agent list, you got a lot of guys who I think could really put you over the top as your 10th or 11th dude. I mean, I know Chris Paul wants to stay in Los Angeles, but I would have loved if he would have, came over here. Russell Westbrook is still out there. I mean, and these aren't guys you're asking to be your starting point guard or anything like that. These are your guys that are vets that you don't got to think about, that you don't got to coach up, that you don't got to develop, that you don't got to, stay on them if they're not playing a game or two. You're going to use those last two spots to get professional basketball players, and that's exactly what you need to sort of round out this team. No real wholesale changes. Never really thought the Knicks were big on the Giannis sweepstakes or anything like that, or the KD sweepstakes.
How about the LeBron sweepstakes?
I mean, that's different. I think the LeBron thing is different because LeBron is essentially the most lucrative expiring contract in NBA history, right? Like he's a 41-year-old all second team all NBA player,
100%.
and if you do take a swing on him, you're off the books for his $56 million the next year. So it's not like you're mortgaging the house for Kevin Durant and you got him for 2-3 years, or you're mortgaging everything for Giannis and you end up with really much of nothing. You could make a pretty even trade for LeBron James right now, knowing he's an expiring contract, and you don't necessarily have to gut your team. I mean, it also asks a question like, how much do you love Karl Anthony Towns? What does Mikal Bridges' extension look like if LeBron is in play? But all in all, I definitely didn't think that the Knicks needed to make any wholesale change. I just think they needed to increase within the margins, and with Yabusele, Clarkson, and whoever Coach Mike Brown and whoever they get with these last two veteran minimum spots, I think they put themselves in good position to do that.
You mentioned Chris Paul. I think he still wants to be a starter, though. I think that's the thing with Chris. He wants to start.
So my guy Trey over at Wyatt and Kennedy, he quotes. He's a very plugged in dude.
Okay.
And he quote tweeted, and he basically said this was kind of taken out of context. Like,
okay,
he clearly wants to play on a winning squad and a winning situation. But what I did hear that he is not budging on is being in Los Angeles, and I think that takes the Knicks out of the momentum. But I'm sure he could be persuaded. New York is just like LA, just with a quick trip. You get enough cross country trips within the day to see the family if you absolutely need to. I love Chris Paul. I would have loved if he would have been the guy that could come round this team out and really be the captain of this bench. But he's got his heart set on being in his family in LA, so I'm not mad at that. But this might be a little bit controversial as well, but I'm not mad at Russell Westbrook either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be mad at him coming in and spelling you. Like, clearly he's not the guy who is the former MVP anymore, but to say he's not an effective ball player, especially for a team that you don't need much from, I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
Here's a thought experiment for you. If you could only have one of them, who would it be? Jordan Clarkson or Russell Westbrook?
Wow. See, I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, man. Like,
okay.
I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those people who find all the faults in what he does. I like the good that he brings. The good that he brings, especially for a New York Knicks franchise where they appreciate the level of effort and the level of IQ and the level of never say die that a Russell Westbrook would bring to Madison Square Garden. That's why I'm just like, yeah, it might not have worked the way you wanted it in Denver or LA, but New York is a special place, and a dude like Westbrook would be immortalized if he came over here. However, I think Jordan Clarkson being younger and giving you exactly what that bench needed as far as scoring punch, I'll probably take Clarkson over Westbrook at this particular time.
I think they needed to bring in Ben Simmons, Kaz. I think it's about that time on a vet minimum. I mean, the IQ, the athleticism, the defensive versatility. I mean, we know he's not going to shoot a three.
Yeah,
we know he's not even probably going to get in the mid-range, and he sometimes does put pressure on the rim, but Ben Simmons to the Knicks sounds good to me, Kaz.
I mean, it's funny, right? Like, the Knicks are in this rare position that they haven't been in probably the last 20-plus years, where they're pretty much set at every position, right? And, when you're set and you have championship aspirations and you're the de facto, the best odds to win the Eastern Conference, according to every betting site there is, you're going to get a lot of attraction from these big-name free agents who really might be on their last, contract in the NBA or their last shot. So, you hear the Ben Simmonses and the Russell Westbrooks and the Chris Pauls, and you got to remember, you're not trying to get 2012 Chris Paul or 2010 Russell Westbrook or even 2016 Ben Simmons. These are guys who you want, as vets who want to come in and win, who have the most important part, been through some stuff in the NBA and kind of had their ego take a little bit of a hit because if you're a guard or you're a forward, like you're not taking Brunson's minutes, you're not taking OG's minutes, you're not taking Cat's minutes. Like you come and know that like the only reason why I'm here is to win a championship, and with that mindset of being a former superstar in this league, you can get some great output from a guy like Westbrook or even Ben Simmons. For as many people who don't like Ben Simmons, he's a guy who could rebound and defend and pass the ball, and you're not asking him to be your franchise savior with the number 1 overall pick. So I think I really do trust this front office with Leon Rose and World Wide West. They've done some great jobs. A great job turning a team that didn't look like much in 2020 into a championship contender. So I think they'll make the right choice with whoever ends up taking this last roster spot.
I don't want to spend too much time on Ben Simmons, but I do feel like an underrated weakness for the Knicks was a guy who was a glue guy, a connective passer, a guy that can make everybody around them better. If you even look at their 4 best players, they don't hang their hat on facilitating and making others better. I think Ben could bring some of that to this team.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really about, in a big free agent offseason, you're worried about your starting 5, your identity, how that's going to look. I think the Knicks need to know exactly what their bench unit looks like every night out. They need to know exactly what that team looks like when Jalen Brunson or Karl-Anthony Towns is sitting. And not saying you need Ben Simmons to be, your point center, leading that bench or whatever, but it's like, if that bench has an identity, if they have an identity similar to the Indiana Pacers where they're like, we have the starting 5, but by the time Benedict Mathurin and Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell get into the game, the energy jumps up a little bit. And I don't think the Knicks really had that sort of identity with that bench. I feel like the last time they really did was when you had guys like Emmanuel Quickly coming off the bench and Mitchell Robinson and those guys that just upped the ante every time they got into the game. So I'm not mad at Ben Simmons. I mean, he's not my first choice, but I can see the appeal. I can see the appeal if people would want him, and just know you're not asking him to shoot threes or be the next coming of LeBron James like people said he was going to be. Like, just be capable. Yeah. Just be capable. That's all you need to do.
Who would be your first choice on a vet minimum deal, a realistic choice?
Oh, man. I mean.
And what's the biggest team need is probably another question for you.
I think right now you have to trust in the development of Deuce McBride and believe that your backcourt is set. I mean, I would love a nice catch and shoot shooter or wing defender, another 3-and-D guy. You could never have too many 3-and-D guys. I'll put it like that.
100%.
Like, you could never have too many guys that could come off the bench that could lock up and shoot a three.
As long as you have the guy.
As long as you have the guy.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And they got kind of 2 of them, kind of,
They do. And listen, and Jalen Brunson is one of those guys. I think it is absolutely unquestionable throughout the league that even if Tyrese Halliburton was healthy and coming back this year, I'd still probably take him as the best point guard in the Eastern Conference just because of the load he's had to carry for this team for so long. And Karl-Anthony Towns, I think, with the full offseason in New York, settled in very nicely. I think he'll be even better next year. And a healthy Mitchell Robinson, So I think this Knicks team has all the tools to be very successful next year because of number 11 and knowing that the Knicks have one of those guys where whether it's a Tuesday in January or Friday night in May, like you got to deal with him, and he's going to show up. So I think as long as you got him suiting up, you got a shot.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Why does Beasley keep coming at Melo, man? I mean, this guy's seriously really hooping still. Like he's an active hooper. Yeah, and it doesn't feel like Melo's in that mindset. That's what I don't understand about it,
Well, you'd be surprised. Melo works out every day.
Okay. See, I'm not with him on the day. I don't know,
I spend a lot of time with him, and he works out every day. He's still very much in good shape. He may not be able to go suit up for the Knicks tomorrow, but like as far as still being able to handle himself, he more capable of doing that. But shout out Mike Beasley, man. I mean, he definitely I love the energy that he's brought to one-on-one
100%.
basketball. Like I think it's right now it's this perfect sort of confluence of social media, athletes that are podcasters, and now
Yeah,
being able to like see these guys just shoot the ones. Like
it's
and
awesome.
I think there's a real opportunity for it to become like as lucrative as prize fighting for boxing, where it's like a lot of the times people aren't just big fans of boxers; they just want to see two people that they've heard of fight each other. Like the Jake Paul and Logan Paul method is exactly what that is, and I think with Michael Beasley doing what he's done with Next 22 and Lance Stevenson and all these great ball players, Tracy McGrady, Carmelo talking about it, every podcast talking about it. It could become like prize fighting for basketball, where it's all right. You said something on podcast. You was talking about this, and the third. Like, all right, let's suit up and let's do it, and and people will watch. I mean, shoot, I think Joe Johnson and Mike Beasley are up next too one of these days.
Yeah, that's
and
tough. That's
when it's
tough.
up, I
Yeah.
will be watching. They will
Yeah.
get my money to watch that. But there's levels to this. All right, Melo's in a. He's an unlockable character, like in a video game. Like you got to beat all the guys before you get into that room of unlockable one-on-one characters, and Melo is
100%.
absolutely that. Yeah.
I mean, we know Melo could do it one-on-one, but I mean, he's one of the greatest 5-on-5 scorers ever as well. With that said, if the whole NBA had a one-on-one contest, the whole Big Three had a one-on-one contest, the winners play each other, who would be the champion at the end?
The entire NBA?
Entire NBA plays a one-on-one contest. Entire Big Three, they play each other. Who wins?
I mean, it's hard. It is hard for it's hard for me to go against a guy like Kevin Durant. You know
I
what
totally
I mean?
agree.
Like,
I
Kevin
totally
Durant
agree.
Kevin Durant looks like he was made in a lab to score the basketball in a one-on-one situation. He's too tall for the quick guys. He's too quick for the tall guys. He's got range. He's got handle. He's strong enough. He's wiry. He's got every single move in the book. He's an encyclopedia of offensive knowledge. And, maybe you stick a guy like Wemby on him. Maybe you stick a guy like Giannis on him. But will they be able to score back on him as efficiently as KD does?
100%.
I don't know. So even though he is even at his advanced age, if we're talking straight ones, give me a guy who is 7 foot who could score from anywhere, and KD is him.
Yeah, I think it gets even worse for people if they go 3-dribble max. Like he could just contain, contest, and on the offensive side, I mean, he's just so efficient with everything he does. Then you play great defense, he still shoots right over.
He's still getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could play the best defense in the world against guys like that, and it does not matter. They've seen every defense. They've seen every double team, triple team. Like, when's the last time we've seen Kevin Durant not double teamed in his NBA career?
And then it don't even matter what you do. He'll make the right read, or he'll make the right read, or he shoots right over.
Yeah. And I'll say this, man. Like, it's definitely something in the water with like the Baltimore basketball players, man. Like, maybe not like per capita as far as like your New Jerseys and Chicagos and LAs and stuff like that. But as far as like top end offensive level talent, talk about Melo, KD, Rudy Gay, Michael Beasley, like all 6'9", 6'10" ish guys who can shoot from deep and throw you through the rim. Unbelievable. So I think I'll take current NBA. I'm still taking Kevin Durant.
Speaking of that mold, DeMar Johnson, another guy. I mean, he just unfortunately got injured, but he was another like 6'10" dude, could handle it, could shoot it, could do all that. He played for the Knicks, right? Yeah, DeMar Johnson.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
DeMar Johnson is also like another guy of that mold. He just got injured early, like that DMV area.
Yeah, he got that neck injury.
Yeah.
DeMar Johnson was the man, bro. Like
Tough.
that was one of those dudes who I thought was going to have an incredible. But there's lots of guys out there like that, man. Like I remember like Nudie Eby, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember guys like Charlie Villanueva, like Luol Deng, like just big 6'9", 6'8" dudes that can handle the rock, that can shoot it, that just have that incredible combo of strength, size, and touch around the rim. That's just you can't mess with it.
All right, big question of the day: Nas or Jim Jones?
I'm a Nas guy, man. I was raised in Far Rockaway, Queens, so
okay.
I can never go against my Queens brethren. Love Jim though. I love the YN energy he brings to the old heads. Like he's somebody who still stays competitive in hip hop, and hip hop is always Always, always, always going to be a competitive sport. So the nerve of him to even say that he's better than Nas, I respect. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I respect anybody who still treats hip hop as a competitive contact sport. 1,000%.
Jadakiss is better than both of them, but that's just my.
You're not wrong there. Jada and Nas is a toss up, depending on which day you ask me. But yeah, Mike Kobe was one of the people who could do that.
All right, before we get out of here, last thing: who's the most underrated Nick ever?
Wow. The most underrated Nick ever is probably Mark Jackson. I mean, he was. I think for some reason, you know, people like to not really give Mark Jackson his proper due in a historical context, not just for the Knicks, but for the NBA. But this is a guy who went to St. John's and became a Knick and became Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. Like, that's as New York as it gets right there. You know what I mean? Right. Like, you know, one of the great point guards of the NBA. Like, not just good, great point guards of the NBA history. And when it comes to Knicks lore, for some reason his name gets left out more than it should. Mm-hmm. So I would say Mark Jackson's the most underrated Knick of all time.
Maybe it's left out because everybody remembers the Pacers days, and you know Knicks fans hate the Pacers.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. You can't necessarily go to the ops like that quickly after your first choice. So that's probably why.
Kaz, great stuff. Oh, you're always welcome back on the show. What are you focusing on? What are you working on lately? Talk to us. Where can we find you on social media and everywhere else?
Man, you can catch me on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Carmelo Anthony every Thursday on the YouTube page. You can catch me talking wrestling on the Ringer Wrestling Show every Monday and Thursday on Spotify and the Ringer Wrestling Network. Man, lots of things that I can't talk about quite yet, but when I do, I'll come back here and talk to you about it.
Appreciate it, man. Next time we do it in studio. Next time we got to make that
happen.
Yes.
We'll be in WTF next time.
All right.
Sure.
Sounds great. Appreciate you, bro. You're always welcome back on the show, and talk soon.
No problem, bro. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yep. Let's